What's up, agents? Jetforth here, and this is your State of the Game recap for 9/11/2019. Now, this was a very, very big State of the Game. There was a lot of really important changes that they're making with the loot system and everything else with it, but there is a lot to go over in it. So let's just dive into it, shall we? TU6 will be coming next month in October. There was no specific date for it. I would imagine it's probably going to be more towards the end of it. There is also a PTS coming, which they did make it sound like it's going to be coming sometime this week and before the next State of the Game is what they made it sound like. And a lot of these changes are going to be in it, if not all of them. Now, they did say there was going to be some balancing and stuff that's going to be funky in there, and they're still working on it, but I am interested in digging into some of these changes and see how they all work. Now, one of the biggest things with the PTS is there will be no more future content put into it. So no spoilers, no nothing, no new missions or anything with narratives on it will be in the PTS. So kudos for that. That needed to be taken out. Now let's just skip ahead to probably the most important detrimental part to what they needed to fix in this game, and that is targeting loot. Look at this beautiful map and what they did. I actually like this. I'm surprised, didn't know what they would do, but this is pretty perfect. Now this is also going to reset every 24 hours. So it resets daily, everything will change. So just looking at it, you'll have specific missions that will just drop Hela Guard. There's other missions that will just drop knee pads. The actual open parts of the world will drop Araldi and Wyvern Wear and so on. And this resets every single day. This is great. Now, basically how this works is you still will get other loot drops and whatnot and randomized loot in it. The regular old trash mob NPCs will be more likely to drop that piece of loot, and you are guaranteed the drop off of named bosses, any named bosses anywhere in the world. And that also counts for the deck bosses, and I'm also assuming the bounty bosses, depending on where in the world you are. This is fantastic. I think this was pretty well done in my personal own opinion. And this also goes for the Dark Zone as well. But the actual brand set pieces will all be contaminated. So, yep, watch your back, I guess. The second most important and also biggest change that they are making is the recalibration station. You will now be able to swap out different color or different typed attributes. So you'll be able to swap a red out for a blue out for a yellow. That is a step in the right direction. Honestly, I was really hoping that they would allow us just to switch two different things in there, but I will take this as a start. Hopefully they will do that in the future, but we will see how that works out in the game. But now that we can actually target loot, I think this will be all right. Maybe we won't need to have to swap out two pieces. Now, the other thing that they said too, that it wasn't too clear to me what they meant by it, but there's certain talents like on the backpack that don't roll on backpacks or whatever, and you will be able to roll the talent onto it. So what I'm thinking maybe is, you know how you have the little circle and then there's the other circle with a triangle or cross in it? Maybe that's going to be gone. Maybe you can just swap that stuff in and out now, is kind of what I'm gathering from what they said, but I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to wait for the PTS to see exactly what they meant by that. They also are changing the UI for the recalibration. So when you want to recalibrate that one specific talent, it will list off all of the choices in best to worst, but I'm interested to see how this is going to work if you are able to swap out blues and yellows. So I'm not quite sure how that'll work, but it's a quality of life change. Next up, we have crafting. They are going to raise the material caps so that we can hold more. There will be material sharing through all of your characters, just like the blueprint sharing. You can buy that from Anaya, and all of your materials will spread across of all your characters if you wanted to. The NPCs will drop more materials. When you are full on a specific material, those NPCs will no longer drop it, so you won't have loot building up on your maps when you're playing through levels. Scavenging for materials out in the open world, instead of the boxes just dropping one material, like if you're going to open up what looks like the electric crate and it drops polycarbonate or whatever else it drops, it is going to drop both now. There will also be a lower cost for crafting. Everything should be lowered out now, which is amazing. So we can hold more, get more, lower cost of crafting. And then the other part of it, there is now going to be a list in game showing you what blueprints you are missing and where you get them. They also mentioned that they were supposed to make a list and post it, and they never did, but now it is going to be in game. Next up, we will have the changes to the actual loot itself. Brand sets, you will now be able to put them in every slot. So meaning China Light Industries will now have backpacks and holsters and whatever pieces were missing in there, you will be able to find those pieces and put it in every single slot if you wanted to. So this should change up build diversity and make it a little bit easier to make builds and whatnot, except for 511 gear, because apparently that is a real world gear and they don't make certain items. But all the other pieces you will be able to put into every single slot. So there's going to be like Alraldi knee pads and whatnot. So that should be pretty interesting. The gear sets will now only take 4 items to unlock all of the bonuses on it. Chests and backpacks will now have a high-end talent on them as well. Raid sets will now drop in the open world, but not the backpacks and the chest pieces. You will still only be able to get the backpack and the chest pieces for the raid gear sets in the raid itself only. Now, along with all of the gear sets, they were all going to be dropping in the open world now. They are not going to just drop from the Black Tusk anymore, so it should be easier to get your hands on them, use them, play around with them. And from what I'm understanding as well is also the hardwired set is going to drop in there too. So that's another pretty interesting change. I really didn't think it was a big deal in the first place of where they really dropped, other than I guess the raid sets for some people who don't play the raid. But I do really like the whole idea of it only taking 4 items to unlock all the bonuses. That's pretty cool. So that way we'll be able to have more build diversity with those, be able to use other brand sets with them. That should make some pretty interesting builds in all honesty. And now for the final bit of it, is they are adding in 35 named items into the loot pool. They will have visual differences. They are going to be weapons and gear. So we're getting both into the loot pool. The way that they explained it is that they are going to be better than our regular gear, but not quite as good as exotics. They will have a fixed talent on them that you cannot roll off, and it will roll on all of them. So say you get your knee pads with 10% damage to elites on it, these will probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 15% damage to elites on it. It's not going to be overly powerful, but they will be better, something to hunt down. Now, they did say that they are going to drop in the open world, as well as probably still be able to buy some of them, and then they're going to try and make it so there's like fetch quests for them, or something like how we got those, whatever the weapon was called that we got from getting all 8 keys from the hunters. But they are still working on that system and figuring out exactly how they are going to do it, but there will be 35 items added, so could be cool. One of those things we'll just have to wait and get our hands on them and see what exactly they do, but I guess it's kind of cool. And that was pretty much it, my fellow agents, for the state of the game for this week. I mean, I gotta say, I was having a lot of anxiety going into this state of the game, and I was pretty worried of what they were going to do, what was going to come out of it, if it was just going to be a bunch of dribble. And I gotta say, I wasn't really disappointed at all. I have pages of notes of what they were saying, and I was like, man, this is so great. I think the way they formatted their state of the game was bad. They should have led it how I led it, not to brush my own shoulders, but it just seemed like they started dumping a bunch of different loot and loot changes in it, and they should have started it off by saying, we're allowing you to target loot, and we're also adding this in. So sometimes, you know, delivery is key on how you do stuff. But man, I'm really looking forward to jumping into the PTS and seeing exactly what is happening with this. I'm glad the PTS doesn't have any of the new content in it, just the changes that are going on. I don't want to be overly optimistic, but on paper, this stuff looks really good. You're going to have a lot more build diversity with only having to use 4 gear set items to unlock all the talents. The raid stuff, and it seems really good on paper, and the recalibrating, and oh man, this This could be game changing. I hope it's game changing because I do still love this game, even though I haven't made content on it in like 2 weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. But I've just been as burned out as everybody on it, fighting for the loot, the piece of gears that you can't get, the lack of build diversity. I mean, there is some in there, but this could be really good for the game. And if you can't tell, I'm kind of excited for this. Now, next week is going to be all about PvP. And if they do next week like they did this week with balancing or however they're going to do in there, hopefully that'll bring PvP back or bring it back up to where it needs to be. So I guess we will have to wait till next week to see those changes and how they're going to rework that and whatnot. But maybe we'll see it in the PTS and get to check it out before then. I don't know. Other than that, they did their little beginning thing where they're still working on audio issues. They ironed out most of them. Collectibles and classified missions haven't been fixed. They're going to work on the Shepherd system some more. The raid resetting when the leader left the group is fixed. They also said that they heard us about wanting more stash space, but they're still in talks with it. There's nothing really solid for it. And there's something else that is escaping my mind right now. But that's it. I'm pretty hyped for this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not gonna lie. So either way, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below all of this. Are you happy for this? Are you excited for this? Do you not like some of it? What do you guys think? I'd really like to know. Hit the old like button for me if you could. Subscribe and all that other junk, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Peace!